Okay, I just finished like maybe an hour and a half of Cruel Boys thinking and list building and stuff, and I talked to my good friend, LOL, Jacob Brandon, who is a world-class Cruel Boys player. He'll be playing Cruel Boys again in this edition, it looks like. So I'm always very excited and very appreciative of him for the time that he takes to talk with me and to school me on the boys. But first, before I get into it, thanks to all my patrons. If you guys are interested in becoming patrons, I do take the time to work on lists and jump into TTS depending on the tier of patron that you are. So if you're looking for some help in 3rd or 4th edition, consider it. It's a good time. Help support the channel. Baron of Dice supports the channel too, so go buy dice from them. And Why Baron Makes Good Art, so check out his Instagram. All the links in the description below. This is not the slide that I want. This is the slide that I want. Okay, so I've been thinking and working on this for quite some time, and I was talking to Jacob Brandon about what he is doing. And so for him, essentially what he's doing with Cruel Boys is he's playing a bunch of Monster Killas because they're very, very efficient. Monster Killas are, they're 3 wounds apiece, so they're 21 wounds for 120 points, which is a lot of wounds per point. Like, they're very cost efficient in terms of their wounds, and they're also incredibly cost efficient in terms of their damage. They are a very efficient unit, even without any buffs whatsoever. And I didn't even do the damage when it comes to monsters, because so they're 7 models with 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, 1s, and 1s, and against monsters they are on 2 rend, and of course they have crit mortals, so against monsters their efficiency goes up even higher, because this is 7.39 divided by only 120 points. Their efficiency, they are 6.2 damage per 100 points. This is bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. Even if I were to compare it to brutes, right? Like, brutes deal a lot of damage, but the thing with the brutes is that they are quite expensive. So regular brutes are at like this 4.1 damage per point, and even against infantry, they're approaching that 5. But when it comes to like damage per 100 points, like a Hacken crew at 4.6 and a Gouger at 5.3 at 3 momentum, like, these are considered good. Like, anything that's at the, like approaching like 5 damage per 100 points is going to be pretty efficient in terms of its damage. So Monster Killas are 5.5. They're over that 5-point mark all by themselves with absolutely no help. And don't forget, they also have things like Strike Last. They can be teleported around the map with Dead Sneaky. And then against monsters, they shut off monstrous actions. Like, they shut off rampages. They get +1 rend. Like, Monster Killas are very, very, very efficient, right? On a 2-up, the rampage has no effect, right? But if you roll the 1, the Grodd is gone. Pick an enemy monster in combat with this unit to be the target, roll a die, add a 1 to the roll if it's damaged. So it's like the Monster Killers have a 2-up. Well, hold on. Oh, right, this unit is a Clutch a Grot. Right. So if you roll the Tough Grot to swallow... Oh, you only get to use it once. It is removed from the battlefield. This unit cannot use a... What? Right, no, sorry. So if you roll a 1, you remove it from the battlefield. Right, so you're going to have multiple of these in a list. That's the idea, right? They have a musician. Oh, they have a champion. I didn't even include their damage. Oh, I didn't even include their damage with the champion. Oh, yes, I did. No, I didn't. I did not. They have 1 more attack than Garipas do. 3 times 7 is 21. +1 is 22. 2 times 10 is 20. +1 is 21. They have 1 more die, 1 more rend than Garipas do. Right? Garipas have more feet to cover objectives. They have... but they're more expensive, so they're not more feet per point. They're more feet total, but not more feet per point. Yeah. and then having a monster be strike last on a 2-up, right, or on a 3-up. It's like, well, they're going to be striking last too, and you know, you can also roll your sneaky or your whatever it is. So like they're going to do incredibly well against monsters, but even if they're not monsters, they're going to do incredibly well. They're undercosted, right? They're undercosted. So here's the list. So your first drop is a Break-a-Boss with 2 units of Killas. Your second drop is Gobsprak with Bolt Boys. Gobsprak, they're gonna take priority target. Now what you're doing here is that Gobsprak is a War Master, so he has to be your general. But with 6 Bolt Boys, what you're doing is you're making it very difficult for your opponent to get their battle tactic. Gobsprak and the Bolt Boys are both going to be staying at range. They're both going to be hard to get. And don't forget, there's only 8 total battle tactics that you can achieve in the game. And so by denying one of them, right, slay the entourage, pick an enemy unit in the enemy general's regiment. You complete this tactic if that unit is destroyed this turn. If you're able to deny them 1, that only leaves them with 7. So if you can deny like a couple more and make it really hard for your opponent to choose, you're gonna win games, and that's the kind of army that we are here, right? It's like you're gonna strike last against us, right? It's gonna be gross. And then the Snatch-a-Boss has Egomaniac, which Egomaniac gives the dude or the Snatch-a-Boss a 4-up ward, and but every time you make a successful ward, you allocate 1 damage to a friendly non-hero Cruel Boys infantry unit within this unit's combat range after the damage sequence has been resolved. So if you want to, you can throw it on Gut Rippas or you can throw it on Killas. So it's like a 4-up ward that you can then sort of pass off to Killas. Slippery Scumbag would be another option here, I think, that is worth considering and worth playing around with. And the reason is because like if he's in combat, he can retreat, but I don't know how often you want to really be retreating the Sludge Raker. This was more like a Vulture-Boss thing. So I don't know about that, but you know, Egomaniac is good. And then we have in that regiment, we have 20 Gut Rippas, which are going to hang out with the Snatch-a-Boss, right? They're going to sit out in front. They're probably going to be the target of venom-encrusted weapons most of the time. Killas are also pretty good with venom-encrusted weapons, but they need it less than Cruel Boys do, or than Gut Rippas do, sorry, because Killas actually have a rend, right? Killas are 4s and 3s with 1 rend, and Gut Rippas are 4s and 3s with a 0 rend, right? And that crit mortal, so they just deal more damage. Like the Killas just deal more damage than Gut Rippas, and so Gut Rippas need a little bit extra help with venom-encrusted weapons, right? A brick of 40 or of 20 Gut Rippas also throws a lot more dice, right? So it's like the damage is going to be higher, but not per point. Not per point. And then 2 units of Killas. So in total, it's 4 Killas, 1 reinforced Bolt Boy, 1 reinforced Gut Rippa, Break-a-Boss, Gobsprak, Snatch-a-Boss. This can't be a Vulture-Boss because the points are too high. We would need to find 30 points to save in this list somewhere, and we're already pretty much tapped out in terms of where we can sneak different units. So the option for this last guy, like we have 260 points is what we have left over in the list. So 260 points for a hero doesn't really get us much, right? So, and the Break-a-Boss is good, right? The Break-a-Boss slaps and is really strong. And I think generally speaking, you want to try to go first here. I was trying to come up with a list that was like a 2-drop version, and you can do it. This isn't like a finished list, but you end up at the very end of the list kind of struggling with what you want to actually include in the list, like the last few points, right? Because you end up with like 140, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one more space, so it's just like a 5th Killas. Like it's just absurd. 4 Killas, 2 reinforced Bolt Boys. Like it's just crazy. Anyway, this list is designed to really just be hyper efficient. Just really hyper efficient. The Break-a-Boss slaps above his weight class. Gobsprak is 2 casts with only 1 drop, and he's got anti-monster and he's got anti-wizard stuff built in. And then for the manifestation lore, We're taking Morbid Conjuration, and primarily it's here for Gravetide because there's nothing in our list that deals with like hordes of enemies. Gravetide is also like, it's good, like 8 attacks, 2s and 3s, 1 rend, and then 2 damage on the charge. It can be pretty scary, right? This manifestation can move up to a distance equal to its move characteristic, which is 12, which is quite high. It can pass through models during that move, then you can pick an enemy unit that this manifestation pass across during the move to be the target. Roll a die for each model in the unit. For each 5-up, inflict mortal wounds. So it's a horde buster. You know, if you're playing against like 40 Stabbas, right, you're going to roll 40 dice, and then a third of them, right? Jeez. You're going to roll 40 dice, and then a third of them are going to be immortals. So against hordes, this thing's going to blow up. So you have a tool for hordes, you have a tool for monsters in Monster Killas and in Gobsprack. And it's like, do you think that this season we're going to see a ton of different monster units running around the place? I have a feeling that's what we're going to see. So give this list a try, get back to me, let me know how it goes. Yeah. You know Be'lakor is the thing? Yeah, exactly. It's just scary. And for those of you that don't have 4 units of Monster Killas, I sort of made a little bit of a modified list. It's the same thing, 2 casts, 3 drops, but essentially we are removing 1 unit of Monster Killas. No, we are removing 2 units of Monster Killas, and we're replacing them with a unit of 10 Gut Rippas and 3 Bull Boys for the same cost. So if you only have 2 Monster Killas, yeah. But you don't forget too, you can take like Dagox and Manox and Headcracka and whatever and make some Monster Killas out of them. You have to talk to your local TO or whatever, but like, subscribe. Wow.